Hello guys and welcome to this new great video. And as you can see in this new video, you see this topology with a lot of stuff, but it all gonna make sense whenever I start configuring. And as you can see on this side, left side, we have EIGRP. So we are going to configure EIGRP on this side, and then on this side we are going to configure OSPF area 0, 1, and this one is 2, not area 0. And then after we do that, we are we have a couple areas as you can see over here, and then we are going to redistribute EIGRP into OSPF. Then we are going to form a virtual link so we are able to connect to area 0, right? And then I think that's about all we are going to do. So let's go ahead and start with that since I haven't done anything. And I'm going to start with actually router 8. So let's go ahead with router 8 and config T, we give it a host name. Let's give it a router 8. And for here, we have to go to interface gigabit 0/0. Let's configure that IP address that I have over there, 252, right? Not shut down. Then after that, I want to configure a couple of loopback interfaces, like 2.2.2, oops, loopback 0, IP address 2.2.2.2.2 slash 24. And let's configure another one, and this one is going to be IP address of 3.3.3.3. Okay, leave it like that. And now let's go ahead and configure EIGRP. So router EIGRP autonomous system 1. Remember guys that this number needs to match with the other router 7. It needs to have the same autonomous system, otherwise it won't work. So let's go ahead and network 10.10.10.0.3, and then the network of the loopback addresses 255, and then the last one 2.2.2. All right, that's good. Now let's go ahead to router 7 over here. Um, router 7, let's give it a host name R7. Let's go ahead to the interface gigabit 0/0, IP address 10.10.10.2, 252, no shutdown, router EIGRP, autonomous system 1, network 10.10.10.0, 255, and that should form an error relationship. Let's give it a second. There you go. We have formed an error relationship. If we do show IP route, we have route to the 2 and the 3 network, which are the loopback addresses on router 8. All right, great. Now let's go ahead to interface gigabit 0/1. And over here, we're going to configure IP address of 20.20.20.2, 252, not shut down. And for this interface, we actually have to configure router, router OSPF 1, and this process ID does not need to match for any of the other um, routers, right? And I want to give this a router ID of 7.7.7.7. All right, exit, and let's go ahead to interface gigabit 0/1. And for here, let's go ahead and configure IP OSPF 1 area 0. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing it like this is that whenever you configure OSPF from a interface, you are configuring just for that interface and that interface only. And also, if that interface's IP address changes, OSPF is going to pick it up and then it's going to add it again. Okay, so if the IP addresses changes, OSPF updates it. But if you do it from the router OSPF 1 and then you add network 20.20.20.0, 0.0.0.3, area 0, and if you change the IP address of the interface, it won't pick it up. Okay, so that's why I'm doing it on this way, and it's also safer to do it from the interface. So that's how I'm going to be doing it throughout the entire um, to through this entire video. Okay, let's go ahead to router 3 now. And router 3 is the one that has um, OSPF. So we are crossing to the OSPF network over here. And let's go ahead and do a host name first, right? Let's give it this 3. Interface gigabit 0/1. Let's configure the IP address of 20.20.21. 252. Not shut down. Now I should be able to do a ping 20.20.22. There we go. I'm able to ping router 7 over here. That's great. So now let's go ahead and also configure interface gigabit 0/1 IP address of 30.30.31 slash 30. Not shut down. Oops. There you go. Not shut down. Great. Now let's go to router OSPF 1. Router ID for this one is going to be 3.3.3.3. Interface gigabit 0/1. IP OSPF purse ID for this one is going to be 1. The area that I want to add it is 0. Okay, so now it's going to form a neighbor relationship with router 7, which is running EIGRP, and is also running OSPF. So we should be able to form a neighbor relationship in a couple of seconds if I configure it correctly. All right, or is it? Let's see. So gigabit interface /1, IP OSPF area 0. Let's go ahead to this one. Did I configure? Okay, this is 8. I had to go to 7. What is in? Okay, 7 IP area 0, gigabit 01. So for gigabit 01. Okay, so I see what I did. So for gigabit 01, it's supposed to be 20.20.21, and I configure 30.30.31. All right. So let's go ahead and configure that IP address again, 20.20.21, 255.255.255.252. And that's why, because I configured 20.20.21, and then I went back again. Instead of going to gigabit 0.0, I went to 0.1 again and configure this IP address. And there you go, process ID, OSPF running. Let's go to interface gigabit 0/0. IP address. Over here is where I have to add the 30 network. 30.30.30.1. Sorry for that, guys. 252. I probably didn't know shut down already. Okay. So now let's go ahead and IP OSPF purse ID of 1, area of 0. Okay. So router 3 has both links working with OSPF. So that's great. Now let's go ahead to router 4, who is not here. Let's go ahead and double click on it. Come back. Router 4 is now back up. All right. Router 4, config T. Let's give it a host name. Router 4. And then after that, let's go ahead to interface here 0/0. IP address of 30.30.32. 252. Now shut down. Interface gateway 0/1. IP address 40.40.42. 252. Now shut down. And then I go ahead to router OSPF. Price ID of 1. Let's just give it a router ID just because that's how I like to do it. Interface gateway 0/0. IP OSPF 1 area 0, which is this one over here, still area 0. Then let's go ahead to gigabit 01, but this one is going to be in area 1. And as you can see, we have formed an area relationship again. I mean, not again, but yeah, again, but in a different router, which is router 4 now. So if you go ahead to router 3, show, we go in, show IP, OSPF, neighbor, you can see that we have formed two neighbor relationship, 7.7.7, which is this one over here, and 4.4.4, which is this one over here. If we go ahead to router 4, do show IP OSPF neighbor, you can see that I only have one neighbor, 3.3.3, which is router 3, because we have not formed a neighbor relationship with router 5, which is what we are going to do right now. So let's go ahead to router 5, config T, let's give it a host name of router 5, interface gigabit 0/1, first IP address of 40, 40, 41, 252, not shut down, and then interface gigabit 0/0, which is a one pointing to this router right here, router 6, IP address 50.50.50.1/30 for all of them, right? Not shut down. Let's go and configure router OSPF. Price ID of 1, router ID for this router. 5.5.5 is good. Interface gigabit 0/1 is the one going to router 4. And over here we need to do an IP OSPF. Price ID of 1, the area that I want to configure over here is area 1. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Price ID, OSPF have formed a neighbor relationship. Now if we go to router 4 and we do show IP again, before it was showing just one neighbor relationship. Now you can see that we have two neighbor relationships, 3.3.3.3 and 5.5.5.5, which is router 5. Okay, now let's go ahead to router 5 again. So router 5 is almost done. We have to go back and configure gigabit 0/0, and this one is going to have area 2. Now let's go to the last router. Config T. Let's give it a host name of R6. Interface gigabit 0/0. The IP address for that is 50.50.50.2, 252, not shut down, right? Not shut down. And let's go to router. And even you don't need to go to, you don't even need to configure anything at all, right? If you just go ahead from here, do IP. I mean, you don't need to configure the router OSPF first ID of 1. You can just do it from here. IP OSPF 1 and then add it to area 2. And then what that's going to do, the router is going to be, oh, we don't have OSPF first ID of 1. Let me just create it. And then add this interface to area 2. And there it is. Voila. As you can see, we have formed a neighbor relationship with neighbor 5.5.5.5, which is router 5. That is great, guys. So now let's go to router 3 and let's take a look at the routing table. So show IP route. Okay, so we see that we have an inter area, which is 40.40.40, which is this one right here, but we don't see 50.50.50.50 50.50.50.0 network. Why don't we see that? Well, we do not see that because um, router 6 is not part of the OSPF design. The OSPF design says that every router needs to be directly connected to area 0. If it's not directly connected to area 0, then it won't be like in the routing table. It won't form. We won't get the packets, right? So since router 3 or router 4, because if you go to router 4 and do show IP route. Router 4 does not have that 50 network because router 6 is not directly connected to the area 0. And because that's happening, we are not able to get that um, into the routing table. So the thing that we need to do is create a virtual link between router 5 and router 6, right? And when we create that virtual link, what's going to happen is that we are kind of making area 1, making it seem like it's going to be area 0. And since that's going to be area 0, 6 is going to be like it is directly connected to um, area 0. And since that's going to happen, then we are going to be able to um, send that across. So send our network across. And so then router 3 and router 4 are able to learn it, right? So let's go ahead and do that between router 5 and router 4. Let's create a virtual link. And the way that you do that is you have to go to the router OSPF 1. And from here, you need to go to area 1. And area 1 is what they call the transit area, I believe. And after you do that, then it's going to ask you for the virtual link. And the virtual link that you want to put over here needs to be the neighbor ID or the router ID of the neighbor that you're trying to connect. So since we are on router 5 and we're trying to connect to router 4, and the router ID for router 4 is 4.4.4, since I manually created that, I know that for a fact. Now let's go ahead and config T, and as you can see that we are receiving an error because we have not formed that virtual link on our end. So let's go ahead and do router OSPF 1. Let's go ahead area 1. And then after area 1, it's virtual link. And virtual link needs to be for the neighbor, which is router 5.5.5.5, or the router ID of it, 5.5.5.5. There it is. So after that happens, you can see fully loading and all that. Now, if we go to router 3, show IP route now, you can see when you do a show IP route, you can see that we see the 40 network and the 50 network, which is all the way over here. We were not able to see that before we formed that virtual link. But now since we formed that virtual link, we are able to see it, right? And we are also able to see it from router 4, that 50 network that we could not see it before. All right, so that's all done. That's great. Now what I want you to do is redistribute between OSPF and EIGRP. Um, if we go to the EIGRP table, let's go ahead to the EIGRP table of router 7 and show IP route. You can see over here that we have a route to the 0, to the 30 network, to the 40 network, and to the 50 network, right? But if we go to router 8, show IP route, we don't have any routes. All we have is uh, connected network and local networks, right? So we don't have, we do not see that here, right? So what we need to do, we don't see any OSPF network. So we're not able to ping 3, 4, 5, or 6, the router number 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, because we're not able to reach it. And we're not able to reach it because we only know EIGRP, right? But since this router over here, router 7, knows EIGRP and OSPF, now what we're going to do is we're going to use router 7 as a translator. And as a translator, it's going to translate between EIGRP and OSPF. So let's go ahead and do that. And the first one that I want to do is the easiest one, which is OSPF. So router OSPF, first ID of 1, and you go redistribute. And what are we going to redistribute? EIGRP, autonomous system 1. We want to do the metric. Metric is going to be 2, and we are going to get subnets, all right? And once that happens, let's go ahead to router 8, show IP route. We're still not seeing anything yet, right? So now let's go ahead and do router EIGRP, EIGRP1, redistribute OSPF price ID of 1, and we want to do metric, right? And then it's going to ask you for the bandwidth. So what is the bandwidth of gigabit 0/1? Well, I don't know that. So let's go ahead and find out. Do show interface gigabit 0/1. And this one should give you everything. Here's the bandwidth is 100. Is that a million? Oh, yep, it is a million. So let's go ahead and do that for 1 and 6 zeros. Okay. So redistribute all SPF1 metric. It's going to ask you for the bandwidth. The bandwidth is this. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then it's going to ask me for the delay. The delay over here is only 10 seconds. So let's go ahead and put 10 seconds over here. Reliability is 255. So let's go ahead and put 255. And I believe after that it's going to ask me for the loading. The loading is 1. And then after that it's going to ask me for the MTU, which is always 1500. If I have not touched it, there we go. I did not touch it, so it is 1500, like I said. Let's go ahead and press enter. Now let's go ahead to router 8. As you can see, we were not getting any OSPF route. So let's see what we get now. And as you can see, guys, ladies and gentlemen, now you can see that before we were not getting anything, just local and connected network. But now, as you can see, we get DX. And what does that mean? If we go to D, EIGRP, and then EX means EIGRP external. So we are getting external um, routes, external EIGRP routes. So we get the 20 network right here, the 30 network over here, the 40 network over here, and then we also get this network, the 50 network over here, which we have configured a, what is it that we configure, guys? We configure a virtual link, so we were able to get that 50 network, all right? So this is it for this video, guys. And you know what, before I, I do anything, let's go ahead and ping 50.50.50.2, and we were able to ping, which is router 6. So we went all the way over there to do that. If you don't believe me, let's go do a trace route 50.50.50.2. And here we go. We went to the 10 network, 20, 30, 40, and the 50 network to be able to reach router 6. All right. And this is it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. And in the next video, I am going to configure EIGRP authentication, and then I'm also going to configure OSPF authentication, the clear text and the MD5 for OSPF. So I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you guys. Bye bye.